Hey everyone, my name is Trent Kelly, and this is my presentation for Class D 210. And I am currently studying for my master's degree in data analytics through WGU. And the presentation that you're about to see is going to cover three total data sets. So the first one being the WGU medical clean data set. And then I selected two data sets from the National Health Institute that cover some demographics and some lab findings, primarily centering around diabetes and the comorbidities with diabetes. And so with the demographics themselves, it includes everything that you would expect. So age, education, gender, things like that. And then on the lab side, it's like I said, it's focusing on diabetes, but it also factors in high blood pressure. And so what we will be focusing on from those data sets are diabetes, high blood pressure, age, and education level primarily. As far as the key findings, starting with diabetes, we discovered that the WGU dataset covers roughly the same number of patients, but the positive rate in the WGU dataset for diabetes is significantly higher than the National Health Institute's dataset. And when I pulled in the data and started looking at the high blood pressure, it was also similar that we had an extremely high number of positive rates comparatively to the National Health Institute. And so what this has me concerned is that our data, the data integrity might not be present. And so fundamentally, what I want to cover and go over and implore the key stakeholders and executives is that if we are going to have a meaningful analysis of the data that we collected, I want to make sure that it is quality data. So I want to go back and implore that we review either the testing methods. So if we were pulling glucose levels and high blood pressure from patients, and then that's what we are reporting on, I would want to investigate our sensitivity and specificity for those tests to make sure that we are indeed having true positives and true negatives that are being reported. And if these numbers are purely being reported based on responses like the National Health Institute's numbers are, then I would want the questionnaire review that we are asking or sending out to determine, are we being too leading? Are we being too vague with the answers? But I would want to do this to ensure that, again, the data that we're feeding into our model and feeding into analysis are accurate, and that way we're getting something of value from the data that we're collecting. Lastly, I looked at education and age just to see if there's any correlated relationships between one of these. And with education, I didn't find that there's any correlation between the two data sets. It's pretty evenly represented for what's there. But I did find a relationship with age. Between the two data sets, there is a middle-age representation that we found in both our numbers, the WGU data set, and the National Health Institute's data set. So there could be a correlated relationship as far as value between the two data sets, at least with age. And with the age component, that is something that is of value, and I would advise that metric may be valuable to utilize for analysis. As far as our insights, based on our findings, we have a severe discrepancy between our data and the National Health Institute's data, and recommend to review our testing methods for diabetes, high blood pressure, if that's how those numbers were derived, and or review our questionnaire methodology. And again, are we being too leading with our questions, being too vague with our questions? And for the analysis part, so this is my dashboard. And so with the first metric we'll go over is with diabetes. And so we have a percentage. This is one of the calculations that I utilized just so we could see a different representation from the bar chart. And we can see that we have roughly 35% of responses are positive. And conversely, with the National Health Institute, it's only 7%. 737 people reportedly were diabetic. And so when looking at these two, as you can tell, there is a strong disparity between what we have in our numbers and what the National Health Institute reported. And when we look at the bar chart, so I have these just next to one another just so we could see. So we have the diabetes up here, which is right here, but high blood pressure, we have over 2,000 positives and only 131 positives for the National Health Institute. And so I would say between the two, the diabetes and high blood pressure, since there's some commonalities there between what is being reported with WGU versus the National Health Institute, and that WGU is consistently higher in both of these variables, I would say there may be something worth investigating to ensure that we're pulling accurate and actionable information from our data. And underneath that is the education and age pie charts. And so WGU education level, and so each slice of the pie, you can see what it corresponds with and how it's represented. And with the National Health Institute, same, you can see what it represents. And nothing in here really strikes me as standout. However, an actionable metric is going to be the age, because for both, the average age is pretty similar, around 50s, mid-50s. So that is something that could be actionable for executives. At least we know consistently that our average age is middle age. And if you want to disregard what kind of the meta-analysis on both data sets, you could look at this that for the WGU data set, that what our patients are going to look like are middle-aged with high blood pressure and will be diabetic. So those could be actionable metrics for executives. And for filters, if you want, you can filter out the total number of responses and also look independently at specific average ages. And you could do the same over here. And the same with that. And so that concludes my presentation. And following the presentation, you'll have my write-up and as well as a walkthrough on how to create this dashboard. I appreciate your time and hope you have a good day.